Richard's in Chelmsford. Richard, what would you like to say?
Yeah, hello, James. Been looking forward to this.
Go on, mate.
Yeah. Basically, I don't think it's about the curtsy itself.
What isn't?
I think it. Well, that was your conversation, right?
Yeah, but what isn't about the curtsy? The anger and the outrage.
Yeah. Well, her presentation of what she's saying.
Of the curtsy.
I don't think it's about the curtsy itself.
No.
I think it's about the sort of character that she is.
Yeah.
Which seems obviously quite vindictive.
Right.
Because I think it's evident that she had split up with a few partners in the past.
God, really?
And sent a ring in the post, just dropped her boyfriend. I think he was a restaurateur or something, and he was going to further her career.
Right. Where did you learn this?
This morning.
No, but where? Where did the information come from?
Oh, Talk Radio, your favourite.
What?
I know you're laughing, James. Yeah, I know you would, because you think you're the bee's knees, aren't you, mate?
Richard, you were looking forward to this. Let's not let it fall apart quite so early.
No, I am looking forward to this.
So you heard on a radio station that she once sent a ring to an ex, and now you know what her character really is.
No, you can.
But why didn't you hear on this radio? No, you carry on. You crack on, mate.
Don't you see it yourself? I mean, I don't actually think that you believe what you're saying. I think you're a provocateur, and that's the whole basis of your show, isn't it?
And now we're talking about me.
But it's always about you, isn't it?
No, we're talking about Meghan Markle and your insights into her character gleaned from listening to a different radio station an hour ago.
Yeah, they had Richard Tice on earlier, you know, the one that you had go out in Keckner's.
Yes, I told him to
That's
F
right,
off.
yeah.
Why are we talking about that now, Richard?
No, I'm just sort of saying that because you asked me where I heard it, that's all.
But you'd already told me.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Richard, really, do you think, here?
But how do you mean?
Well, you've got on the radio. You said you were really looking forward to it, and
well, I am because
but
you know.
What are you telling me, Richard?
Girl on radio.
What do you think you're telling me?
You just bullied a poor girl on the radio. She's speaking a lot of sense, and you're just trying to humiliate her.
Okay, I mean that's a criticism that I have now heard. But why are you here?
I am here because I'm telling you I think she's a very vindictive character.
Based on what?
I know people.
Yeah, go on.
I've met people that have gone out with partners that think they're the bee's knees,
right.
And when the attention doesn't come their way, they think they're queen bee. I've been out with women like that myself. And,
right, you've been out with women like Meghan Markle, Richard.
Obviously, they haven't been on the Suits. Oh God! I'm just saying that character. They think they're high maintenance types.
Right.
And you know, attention seeking.
Okay. Why are you giving her so much attention?
Why am I giving her so much attention? I've just brought it up because that's your subject, and it's this whole big thing. This is, you know, I'm sort of in relation to what the last lady said. There's people that won't be able to afford to heat their homes and everything, and everybody's making a big thing about.
Why have you never rung me about them?
Huh?
Why have you never rung me about them? We were talking about them yesterday.
Yeah, but you don't care about food banks.
We were talking about them yesterday. Why didn't you ring me then?
I've tried to ring you several times.
Everyone's talking about how they've tried to talk about food banks.
I tried to ring you last week, but
okay.
I tried to ring you last week. But you don't care about the people that you pretend you're caring about.
Well, that's another criticism that you have now made.
It's the truth.
Okay.
You're a liar and a bully.
Here we are.
I know you're a liar.
Yeah. And back to Meghan Markle.
There's evidence out there.
Back to Meghan Markle.
I've just told you.
You told. Okay.
So what's your answer, James? What's your answer? What's your clever comeback?
I don't need a clever comeback, Richard.
Come on.
No, I don't need a clever comeback. I only need a clever comeback if somebody hasn't really done my job for me by humiliating themselves live on the radio, mate.
But you humiliate yourself on the radio every day because you just sort of.
You know what you just said. You just did. I know you are, but what am I?
You're such a child. Grow up.
Anything else?
I know you've got issues, James. But,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
that's
it.
why you bully people. You know. I'm
Okay.
sure you're a really lovely fella, really, but you just need to be nicer to people.
When you came on air and said, I've
Oh
really
yeah,
been looking forward.
I've been looking forward to it a long time.
What were you looking forward to, mate?
To basically saying
Yeah.
that I think you're a liar.
Okay.
You know, Kebab Awards.
Pardon?
The Kebab Awards. Hello. You know, you're doing your listeners a very bad disservice, aren't you? Because you're not really telling them the truth, aren't you?
About the Kebab Awards?
Yeah. The mask business. Is it
The mask business at the Kebab Awards?
Yeah, you said it was impossible to eat a kebab wearing a mask while eating a kebab.
I stand by that.
Pictures,
I stand by that, Richard.
All the evidence that is on there, you're not eating a kebab at the time, and you're having your photos taken, not wearing a mask.
There was no mask. There was no
either.
mask mandate at the Kebab Awards, mate.
No, yes, there was.
No, there wasn't.
There was.
No, there wasn't.
Yes, there was.
Okay. This is what you were looking for. When was that, incidentally?
I was looking forward to it.
When was that?
Huh?
When was that?
When?
Yeah.
What, the Kebab Awards?
Yeah.
Last year, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think it might have been the year before.
No, it was 2021. I'll have to look at that.
Okay.
But I'm sure it was 2021.
And this is what you were really looking forward to doing today?
Oh, yeah, I've been looking forward to it a long time because I think you're a bully and a liar.
Okay. I wish you well, Richard. I really do. Maybe
I wish you
try
well.
and spend, a little bit less time hating and a little bit more time looking after yourself.
No, I don't like people being bullies, that's all.
Well, I'm not bullying you, Richard. I'm listening to you.
No, you're not bullying me. You won't bully me, but you bully the last lady. You bully your listeners every day, don't you? You patronise them.
How do you feel about the people who bully Meghan?
How do I feel about the people that bully Meghan? I don't like them.
Oh, okay. But I
don't like them.
But you've rang in to assassinate her character because she reminds you of your ex.
I'm not. You're twisting my words.
I'm really not, mate. There's a tape.
I'm not your mate.
See, this is what people.
Not your mate.
Okay.
I'm not your mate.
Okay, Richard. I'm not twisting. I'm not twisting your words, Richard. Well, you seem to think you know me quite well. You've been offering up a fairly detailed analysis of my character. I would suggest that you think you do know me quite well.
I don't know you.
Well, then, where did all these accusations come from? Then?
The air crackled with tension as Richard's voice boomed through the speakers. His tone was unmistakably hostile, each word laced with a palpable sense of anger and frustration. It was as if the very airwaves were charged with his animosity, creating an atmosphere thick with unease. He was incensed, his words dripping with disdain for Meghan Markle. Richard's voice rose and fell with a rhythm of contempt, painting a picture of a man deeply aggrieved. His grievances were not just casual complaints, they were vehement accusations, each one more intense than the last. Richard saw her as a manipulative social climber, someone unworthy of Prince Harry, let alone the British public's respect. To him, Meghan was the epitome of everything wrong with modern celebrity culture. He believed she had ensnared Harry, pulling him away from his royal duties and into a life of frivolity and self-indulgence. He launched into a tirade, his accusations echoing the kind of vitriol often directed at Markle in certain corners of the media and online. His words were not just his own. They were a reflection of a broader sentiment that had taken root in various segments of society. This was not an isolated outburst, but part of a larger, more troubling narrative. O'Brien listened patiently, a neutral presence amidst the storm of Richard's anger. His calm demeanour was a stark contrast to the fury emanating from the caller. O'Brien's experience as a broadcaster had taught him the importance of maintaining composure, even in the face of such intense emotion. As a seasoned broadcaster, he was no stranger to heated exchanges. Over the years, he had encountered a wide range of callers, each with their own unique perspectives and emotional states. Yet there was something about Richard's call that stood out, something that made this particular exchange more memorable, yet there was something particularly jarring about the intensity of Richard's dislike for a woman he'd never met. It was as if his animosity was fueled by something deeper, something more insidious than mere disagreement. This was not just a difference of opinion, it was a manifestation of a deeper, more troubling prejudice. O'Brien knew that this call wasn't just about Meghan Markle. It was about something much larger, something that went beyond the individual and touched on broader societal issues. This was about the ways in which prejudice could shape perceptions and influence public discourse. This was not just another call, it was a microcosm of a larger societal issue. The conversation between Richard and O'Brien was a reflection of the broader challenges facing society, challenges that required thoughtful and measured responses. It was a reminder of the importance of addressing prejudice and promoting understanding, even in the face of intense opposition. It was clear that Richard's view of Markle was heavily influenced by the negative press she often received. The tabloids were filled with sensational stories about her, each more scandalous than the last. These stories painted her as a manipulative, fame-seeking individual, and Richard seemed to take them at face value. He would often quote these articles on his show, using them to bolster his arguments and further vilify Markle. He cited tabloid stories as if they were gospel truth, ignoring the often sensationalized and unsubstantiated nature of such reporting. Richard seemed to have a selective memory, conveniently forgetting the numerous times these tabloids had been proven wrong. Instead, he clung to their narratives, using them to construct a version of Markle that fit his preconceived notions. It was a classic case of confirmation bias, where he only acknowledged information that supported his beliefs while dismissing anything that contradicted them. His perception of Markle was a caricature, a distorted image reflected back at him from the funhouse mirror of biased media. The more he focused on the negative stories, the more exaggerated his view of her became. It was as if he was looking at her through a series of funhouse mirrors, each one warping her image further until she was barely recognizable. This distorted perception was not based on reality, but on a twisted version of it shaped by the biased media he consumed. O'Brien recognized the signs of confirmation bias in Richard's arguments. As a fellow radio host, he had seen this pattern before. People like Richard would latch on to a particular narrative and refuse to let go no matter how much evidence was presented to the contrary. O'Brien knew that this kind of thinking was dangerous as it led to a narrow and often inaccurate view of the world. He was actively seeking out information that confirmed his pre-existing negative beliefs about Markle while dismissing any evidence to the contrary. This selective consumption of information created an echo chamber where Richard's views were constantly reinforced and never challenged. It was a self-perpetuating cycle, with each negative story feeding into his existing biases and making them stronger. This selective consumption of information had led him to a distorted and incomplete understanding of the Duchess of Sussex. Richard's view of Markle was not based on who she truly was, but on a caricature created by the media. This incomplete understanding prevented him from seeing the full picture, leading to a skewed and often unfair portrayal of her. In the end, it was not Markle who was the problem, but the biased lens through which Richard viewed her. O'Brien's voice remained calm, even as Richard's temper flared. In the world of heated debates and fiery exchanges, O'Brien's demeanour was a breath of fresh air. He was known for his ability to maintain composure, no matter how intense the conversation became. This was not a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to his strength and confidence in his own beliefs. He didn't interrupt, didn't try to shout over him. Instead, he listened, truly listened. In a world where everyone seems to be talking, O'Brien's ability to listen set him apart. It was a skill that required patience and empathy, qualities that were often in short supply in heated discussions. He understood that sometimes people just need to vent to feel heard. O'Brien knew that allowing someone to express their frustrations was the first step towards meaningful dialogue. It was about creating a space where emotions could be acknowledged and respected, even if the opinions being expressed were contentious, but he also knew that listening didn't equate to agreement. O'Brien was a master at balancing empathy with critical thinking. He could validate someone's feelings without endorsing their views. This distinction was crucial in maintaining the integrity of the conversation. He would give Richard his say, but he would not let his biased pronouncements stand unchallenged. O'Brien believed in the power of reason and evidence. He knew that unchecked biases could distort the truth, and he was committed to ensuring that the conversation remained grounded in reality. When Richard finally paused for breath, O'Brien gently steered the conversation towards reason. He had a knack for asking the right questions at the right time, guiding the discussion back to a place of logic and evidence. This was not about winning an argument, but about seeking the truth. He asked clarifying questions, prompting Richard to explain his reasoning, to back up his claims with evidence. O'Brien's questions were not meant to trap or embarrass, but to illuminate. He wanted to understand the foundation of Richard's beliefs, and in doing so help Richard see any flaws or inconsistencies in his own arguments. He didn't attack Richard personally, but he did challenge the inconsistencies and unfounded assumptions that riddled his arguments. O'Brien's approach was firm but fair. He believed that challenging ideas was not the same as attacking the person who held them. This distinction allowed for a more respectful and productive dialogue. O'Brien's approach was not about scoring points or winning an argument, it was about understanding and growth. He saw each conversation as an opportunity to learn and to teach. This mindset fostered a more open and honest exchange of ideas. It was about fostering a space for respectful dialogue, even when discussing emotionally charged topics. O'Brien believed that respect was the cornerstone of any meaningful conversation. Without it, discussions could quickly devolve into shouting matches and personal attacks. It was about demonstrating that disagreement didn't have to descend into hostility, that it was possible to engage with opposing viewpoints without resorting to personal attacks or unfounded accusations. O'Brien's approach was a reminder that civility and respect were not signs of weakness, but of strength and maturity. In a world where divisiveness often seems to be the norm, O'Brien's measured response was a beacon of hope. It showed that it was possible to have passionate, even heated discussions without losing sight of our shared humanity. It was a call to rise above the noise and to engage with each other in a way that was both respectful and constructive.